Welcome to Business Success Tips, where we can learn to make more money in less time and have more fun. So we should have more fun. I'm your I'm your guest, actually. I'm your ghost eventually, Paul Sanneman. I'm the founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where we help build great teams for contractors. So I have Jon Engquist. I get that right?
Yes, you did.
From Subtrak. Now tell me a little about what it is you do and why should people be interested in listening to you?
Yeah, so maybe I could just start off by telling a little bit about myself, and then that kind of informs why we went to Subtrack and what we're doing over here. So,
Okay.
by trade, I'm a third generation roofing contractor. So my grandfather started a roofing business here in the San Francisco Bay Area in 1957. My parents took it over in the 80s, and I grew up in that business and worked in that business for the last 15 years, doing everything from project coordination all the way up to being vice president and co-owner of that company.
Okay.
And in my time there, I saw how difficult it was for small business owners to kind of wear all the hats in the business. So, and everything from managing their teams to doing their own personal day-to-day work, and then trying to grow the company. And I thought those three major points were kind of difficult to manage. So I wanted to make a platform that helped contractors in these small and medium-sized specialty contracting businesses better articulate their systems, their processes, their standards, and their accountabilities to their team so that their team could be a bit more self-sufficient and feel more empowered to kind of know the system from day one rather than having a long ramp up period, taking
Okay.
the contractor's personal time to explain everything to them. So that's kind of why we created Subtrack, is to create a platform that allows a contractor to document their processes, document their system in a clear way that is accessible to their team members from day one, both existing and new team members. So
So what does
Subtrack,
Subtract do actually?
yeah, so it's a process management system. So it's a platform where a contractor can log in and document all the different tasks from all the workflows that need to happen to create a successful project from start to finish. So, all the way from the sales phase, all the way to the project closeout phase,
Is it
there's a
like
number
say
of,
like Monday.com or something? Is it
yeah,
similar to that?
it is something like that. Yeah, Monday gives you an opportunity to create, like a task list of things that
Mhm.
need to happen. And we help you create those templates. We organize them based on project type. And everything's completely customizable. So whatever business a contractor may run, we can help them document their specific processes for their company. And
So
then
give me an example. What would that look like?
yeah, sure. So, for example, for a commercial project, we break it down into phases. Every project has different phases. So, for a commercial project, there might be a sales phase, pre-construction phase, construction, punch list, and closeout, for example, right? So we help you take the sales phase and we break that down. We allow you to break that down into our platform. So maybe that might start off with a discovery call. And so your employee wants to know, hey, how do I do a discovery call? What are the questions I ask? What do I need to do to prepare? And so we not only let you delegate that task to your employees automatically in our platform, but we also attach a standard operating procedure with that task so that they know exactly how to do that task. And that's something that's different, we find, than a lot of these other sites like a Monday.com or Builder Trend or any of these other companies. They give you a simple checklist, but the question always comes back to the owner, hey, how do I do this? Where's the form that I need to fill out? How do I actually do this task? And so we try to help make that easy for them. So in a sales workflow, for example, they may have, start off with qualifying the lead, then how to set that appointment, how to attend the appointment, what do I need to do at the appointment? How do we kind of confer with the estimator, or how do I make the estimate? How do I put all that together, the proposal? How do I deliver that to the client? I need to follow up. So there's all of
Is this
these
like a way of
tasks.
documenting all the SOPs kind of
Yeah,
thing?
it's more of an intelligent way to document SOPs. SOPs are kind of a somewhat, I feel like they're a bit antiquated because they typically you write them and they're very useful, but where you store them really matters. If you put them in a
Most people
bind,
don't actually have standard operating procedures. It sounds
yeah,
like a good idea, but they don't actually have them.
yeah, but I think that that's changing. I mean, people, kind of like yourself or other contractor coaches are really preaching to contractors to get organized, standardize, and systemize your business. So that way it makes it easier to scale. I mean, that's kind of the difference between a company that's perpetually doing, less than $1 million, and someone that's growing to 2, 3, $10 million in their company is they're organized. They have a system that they're bringing people into, and are able to have people, intelligent people, kind of come into that system. And that's what you help them with, right? Find those intelligent people, bring them into their system, and
Well,
then,
now I'm
get them up to
because we
speed.
work on boarding and that kind of stuff. But I'm trying, let's say, I know what JobTread does and Buildertrend and CoConstruct and Procore. How does it differ from like a project management software?
Great question. So we are solely focused on process, right? So where those kind of focus on project management, as far as they're a great repository for information, right? You can keep maybe your submittals in there, your color selections, your documents, PDFs. You can keep track of maybe scheduling in there. But our platform really deals with the how to do things in your company. Our platform would be a great place to explain to your employees, how does your company use Buildertrend, JobTread, right? You can't just give them a login and expect them to say, go to town, right? There's a specific way your company uses that software, but that's not documented anywhere. So Subtrak would give you the opportunity to say, enter a project into JobTread, and it could give you a step-by-step list of all the spaces you need to fill out, and how that ties into the rest of your system. It's not just kind of cutting them loose on a project management application. It's really focused on the process of, from start to finish. How does this integrate into the whole system of the company?
So this doesn't like replace a CRM system or a web-based project management system. It's
Correct.
more like how you document those procedures. Now I know some of the people like JobTread, Procore, I mean, they do have some kind of, they have videos, for example. Okay, watch this video and it'll show you how to use it. How do you differ from something like that?
Well, it's not finding those videos, they probably have them somewhere, but it's not necessarily accessible. So you'd have your employees searching around the internet, searching on their help board, kind of being self-sufficient in that way. But why do that when you could have it kind of all in one system right at their fingertips, where they can log in at the beginning of the day and find out how to do that task? And another thing that Subtract does, we're not strictly just a documentation platform. We also have a component to it where we're actively and automatically delegating tasks to members of every project team. So once you set up all of your workflows and all of your standard operating procedures in Subtract, you can also set dependencies for those tasks. So when one task gets finished, another one becomes due for someone else in the company, or another 3 tasks become due. So you can set up these dependencies, you can set up these recurrences, so that no longer does the owner of the company have to sort of manage everyone else's to-do list. Subtract knows what is the next step in the process and tells that member of the project team, hey, you need to do this. And so once that task is delegated to them, the standard operating procedure follows that task and is connected to that task in our platform. And so not only can they see what to do and when it's due, but also how you want it done, right? So it kind of ties all of that together. So think of it more as like a documentation platform and a globalized to-do list for your company, right? And if you don't have the money for a Buildertrend, if you're not up on JobTread or, some of these other platforms, this could be a really good solution for companies that just want a kind of a standalone, hey, let's get a to-do list with our documentation, and now everyone knows what to do and how to do it every day when they log in,
So
right?
how is this different like Monday.com? What would be the difference between that and like that kind of
Yeah,
thing?
so I don't think that Monday, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. People always ask me about, how about, what is the difference between that and this one? And I'm not, a software
I don't
expert.
know because I don't understand this anyway. So
Yeah. So Monday.com, it obviously has a CRM piece. You could do project management there. You can do a whole bunch of stuff, right? But there's no real clear way to explain how to do those tasks. I mean, you can write, every time how you want someone to do it, but we're ultimately trying to save contractors time by automatically delegating these tasks to people in a similar way as Monday, but then we want to attach a standard operating procedure
So it's
to
like
that
it's like
task.
a task management system with an SOP connected somehow.
Exactly. You got it. Hey, you got it, Paul. You got it. It's not that.
So can you give me a real life example of like like a remodeling contract or somebody you
Sure.
work with and how it works for them?
Yeah, sure. So we're actually right now we're targeting more towards specialty contractors. I find that their work cycle is very repetitive. So I come from the roofing world. We sell
So explain how a
projects.
roofer uses it, because you're a roofer,
Yeah,
you probably use it, so explain how
exactly.
it works.
Exactly. So in a roofing project life cycle, right? We were a commercial roofer. You got the sales process. We talked about that, all the processes, sales all the way to closeout, right? So what I would do as a contractor is I log into Subtrak, I sign up, I create my workflows. What is from start to finish on my sales process? What does my sales process look like? There's tasks. I lay down those tasks in Subtrak, and I can assign
But
each.
the task includes like, would it replace like HubSpot or CRM, or does it enter the stuff into HubSpot or some CRM?
Yeah, great question. So we're brand new. We don't really have too many integrations right now. That's definitely on our roadmap, though, is to kind of integrate with these CRMs that have those task lists already. And then we on Subtrack would add on that component of standard operating procedure of how to do each of those tasks. So that's
Okay.
definitely on our pipeline to add to our project, our product. But yeah, so what you would do as a contractor is you would create that workflow similar to the sales process. There's often, even after you get the job, there's a period of ramp up in that pre-construction process where you are taking, hey, we got the contract signed, but now we need to get ready to put boots on the ground out on the site, right? And so Subtract can help you document that pre-construction process, make sure your insurance is in order. You may want to get some color approvals. You may need to set up the site, order facilities for the site, those types of things. So what is that big checklist that we want to follow at our roofing company, right? So I'm going to document all of that. And then I'm going to add some detail. How do I complete each of those tasks? And I do that for the pre-construction phase, the construction phase, the punch list phase. How do we make sure that our work was done properly and to our standards? What do we need to do? Do we need to have a meeting on site? What is our process for that? And then finally, how do we close out the project? How do we get that final payment? Some customers, it's hard to track them down for that last 10, 20% retention payment. And so you really want to have clear step-by-step instructions for how do I get them the warranties? How do I make sure that they're happy? And how do I follow up with them after the fact to get that review or, all of those things that you want to do to end the project on a good note for everyone. So contractor needs to document all of those tasks that need to happen in Subtrack. They assign those tasks to different roles within their company. Now, this is good because you don't want to assign a task to a person. You want to assign it to a role within your company, because if that person leaves, all those tasks are going to leave with it, right? And
Right.
so if you assign it to a role within your company, I can just make anyone, whatever project manager I want to put on that task for this project, I can do that in Subtrack, right? And so this is
Yeah, besides, does this also provide accountability, or is that part of what you do?
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So as you probably know, once you have your written documentation down for how to do a task, you automatically have that accountability piece built in, right? Because you can't hold someone accountable to something if you never really train them to a standard in the first place. So many contractors I find are simply just telling people what to do word of mouth and expect them to kind of pick it up after that one time of telling them.
Or bring a
It's like,
yellow pad or their phone and write it down, right?
yeah, and even if you're sitting right there and you're present as the person learning, you could take notes, but maybe you miss some of the things that they're saying, and you're not doing it hands on. You're kind of just listening to it, maybe while they do it, and so you need that documentation piece to be able to come back to. And if you're not performing well, your manager, your supervisor needs that documentation to say, look, these are the steps that we expect from you for this task, and you're not hitting this one and this one. And so let's talk about that. Let's have that conversation. Let's train up on it. And so let's be better this next time, right? And I think a lot of really good candidates want that accountability in their company. Not only is it good for them, but they want to know that the rest of the employees in the company are also accountable to standards, and they want to know what they're doing. And they want to know that everyone on the team is kind of pulling the rope in the same direction, I think.
So the question I have is, how do you get somebody to write all those procedures down? Because I have a difficult time for the last 4 years getting contractors to do stuff. That's what started recruiting
Yeah.
companies. They
Yeah.
wouldn't do what I told them to do.
Yeah.
So how do you get, let's say, the sales process? Somebody has to litter down, make phone call. This is the phone track, make the appointment. Somebody has to document all that stuff, right?
Right. Right.
So how do you get a contractor to actually document all that stuff?
Yeah,
Or
great
do it?
question. The simple answer is you don't get the contractor to do it because they're very busy, right? They don't probably don't want to do that. They have kind of more important things to do with their time, right? And our solution is trying to ease their burden of time, not add more to it. So you're absolutely right. The best way to do it is to kind of make that initial checklist and use the contractor as a double check for all of this stuff. But once you make the checklist of all the tasks that you need to do, and that goes pretty quickly. That's simple enough. What's my sales process from start to finish? We could bang that out in 15 minutes. But after you do that, you give it to the salesperson. You say, "Hey, salesperson, what do you tell me what you've been doing on this sales process? And now you write this down, and I, as the contractor, I'm going to double check what you wrote down, and we'll add to this." And so you get your team to kind of write down what they are already doing. You see if they even understand it from what they're doing right now, right? And so now you can, as a contractor, just kind of double check it. Your SOPs will be 80% of the way there. Maybe you need to discuss the other 10%. Hey, this doesn't look right. Can you try to write this section again? That type of thing. The other option is there's a lot of AI tools out there that can also get you to about 70, 80% of the way there for your
I'm
SOPs.
sure you can ask ChatGPT, write the
Exactly.
operating procedure for putting on a door or a roof or a
Exactly.
window, right?
Hey, Chat GPT, I'm a small plumbing contractor and I need a sales process. Can you give me the tasks, the step-by-step process for doing a sales process? It'll spit out something pretty generic. Now, it may not be exactly what you've been doing, but you can kind of follow that and there's a bunch of tools out there that you can use to kind of make this process faster. And that's what we hope to do, actually, to integrate is a bit of an AI piece, right? And that's kind of where I think we're going with this software, is to kind of allow tools to do some of the heavy lifting for us. It takes a lot of time, and our time would be better spent doing other things, I think. So
So can you give me an example, of the company's name, but
yeah.
the example of a company who is using it and how it's worked for them?
Yeah. So we're working with a remodeler. We just were at International Builders Show. That's in Las Vegas. We met with a number of builders and remodelers, and this one gentleman, Real Home Evolutions, he is using it to basically build out all of his systems because he wants to hire more people. He was running the show all by himself for a long time, so obviously he didn't need to document the systems. Over the past couple of years, he's hired a few key partners, someone to maybe run his social media, someone to run his accounting, and he wants to make sure that they're doing things on a weekly, daily basis that he needs them to do, and making sure that they've done it without having to follow up on email and say, "Hey, did you do this?" Or, that type of thing. He wants to make sure that, hey, I just need to go into one system, see that it's been checked off. I'll feel good about that. Right. So he's using it for his accounting purposes and also for his social media to track, make sure that all of that has been taken care of for his projects. We have another company, actually my old company, Andy's Roofing in the Bay Area here. They're using it to track project startup and project closeout. Those are the two main pain points that they were having trouble in just tracking, because they do public works roofing as well. So there's so much compliance that goes into all of that. You need to make sure that you got all your forms in, your insurances, your this and your that, and everyone's on the same page. And they had a pre-construction checklist of like 50 tasks they needed to do before they could put boots on the ground on a
Wow.
project. And so it's not just the number of tasks, but it's how many people have the hands in that, right? So there's 5 people doing 50 tasks. There's a lot of coordination that needs to happen. And unless you have a centralized place to document all that process, it can get out of hand, and it can take too long to start up that project. And before you know it, you're behind the 8 ball. The same goes for the closeout process. So that's kind of how they've been using it. And yeah, we're excited. The platform is completely customizable. So there's a lot of places where you can use it specific to whatever pain points you're feeling as a contractor. It doesn't have to be a start to finish solution. We can just target the areas of your company where you're experiencing the least amount of accountability or the most disorganization.
So you don't have to use it for the entire company. You can take pieces and start that way.
Yeah, that's actually the better way to do it. Let's start with what your pain point currently is. What are the things that you want to track right now? Let's start with that, and yeah, and go from there. Absolutely.
Now, how do you, I guess, what does it cost and what is the implementation process?
Sure. Yeah, great question. Right now we're $19 per user per month, and we're doing a free 30-day trial. So you sign up for Subtrak, and every week for 4 weeks, I will personally meet with you and set up Subtrak for you. So we'll sign up together. We'll get it all customized, set up for what you want to do. And I'll sit with you and help you create those workflows, those checklists, even some light standard operating procedure documentation. Just show you how the product works. Our customer success at this point is our success. So really want to make sure that everyone who signs up gets a really good experience out of it. So I'm very hands-on with the training, with the onboarding, with the customer success side. So yeah, we're working with contractors all the time to try to get that set up for them. Yeah.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, John, how do they do that? And you get a first 30-day trial, which sounds great to me. How do they get a hold of you, and how do they start or find out if it works for them?
Yeah, beautiful. It's best to just go subtrak.com, subtrak.com. There's a little button you can click to book a demo. That'll go right to me. That'll set something up on my calendar, and then I can, at that appointment, we'll discuss your business, what pain points you're feeling, what you hope to get out of a software like this, what the benefits of documentation can mean to your business. We'll discuss all that, see if it's a good fit. And if you want to go forward with it, we'll do a couple of those onboarding sessions, sign up, and get you all set up.
Sounds great. Well, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
We're all a little bit disorganized, so if you want to get more organized, I think here's a clue. You can call John and he'll help you do it. So John, again, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can go to subtrak.com, click the book a demo button. You can also email me directly, john@subtrak.com. Either one of those will get right to me. So yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, John. I appreciate you having here. And for all those people out there, including me, that are unorganized occasionally, I suggest you give John a call. I think he could really help.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.